So really excited, looking forward. Hopefully it's a great ski season. But with that, we'll dive into some equipment and really exciting stuff for us this year. We have new skis, new boots, and new bindings. So for this year, big staple for us is all new junior slalom skis. This is a project that was in the works for a couple of years. We used Next Generations campaign, which is a collab with some of our ex-World Cup athletes who now have young children of their own racing at high levels, U10, U12, U14, Georgia Roca and Manfred Pronger. And through multiple generations of testing and prototypes with their kids, we were able to develop the skis that we have now. This is really important because with their experience on the World Cup and their intimate knowledge of how to test skis, they were able to translate that into their kids and coming up with the best ski possible. So for us, we changed all the side cuts. So all new sizing and side cuts, trying to have a more competitive ski for those kids and tightening it up, making a little bit tighter radius. Just initiate the turn easier and get in and out. So with that, we soften the tip up to 60%, depending on the ski. Also changed the wood core constructions throughout the ski. So it's progressive from the smallest skis here at the 118 all the way through the 150 junior ski. That means that your 129 through 118 size, it's a little bit softer wood core, and as you progress up, the 136, 143 stiffer, and the 150, the stiffest wood core. That way, as you move through as a racer, the skis progress with you. It's not just the same construction from the smallest size through our whole junior line. Also with that, we have a Titanal frame, or a Titanal sheet that changes thickness. So you have 0.5, 0.7, 0.9 thickness as you move up in the same way. The softer torsional tip allows that athlete to initiate the turn easier and then get off the ski into the new turn, just allowing a cleaner roll up and a smoother arc. This is the thing that was really critical. It came through a lot of prototypes, finding that sweet spot that wasn't too soft, but still allowed the kid to get that back. Still maintaining a strong, rigid center of the ski underfoot to allow power generation. The next big thing with us for Marker, put a lot into it, is all new junior plates. So on the smallest ski, we have a two-piece plate that's fixed to the ski. Unlike in years past where this has come as a lifter off that you can mount after, this ski comes with it pre-mounted. Front dampener, as well as front and rear floating square bearings. So hopefully you guys can see that. That just allows the ski to flex all the way through. Then as you move up at the 136, 143, and 150 for junior slalom, you get a two-piece or a hinged plate in the middle. So this is technology that's come down from some of the World Cup prototypes, testing different plates at that level that's moved down into the junior. The idea being there is that we understood our old plate was great, but it did make the middle of the ski pretty stiff. This allows for the ski to progressively flex through its full range and still giving that, larger junior athlete a solid platform. So as you can see, you have that hinge in the middle, and then same front and rear floating bearings, along with that rubber dampener in the front. On the junior GS side of things, the skis constructually stay the same, but we've added those same junior plates. So the skis will ski completely differently. And again, it's just opening up the middle of the ski. The idea being here is trying to make it progressive, easy flexing ski for that junior athlete while still maintaining a powerful ski that gives back to that athlete that really pushes into the ski. So same thing for those skis. It's only a 2-piece plate for the 132, and then from 140 through 171, you have the hinged plate. At 156 is where our skis are all 17-meter radius. So for USSA rules, U14, 156, 171 and up all the way through, but 156 is that ski that hits that minimum radius requirement. Then moving into adult slalom ski construction, the 155 and the 165 also got that torsionally softer tip. Not as soft, obviously, as the junior skis, but this is something that came directly off of the World Cup. This is the most successful year that we've had to date. 2 men's podiums at the 165 with Stefano Gross and Adrian Prettel. So pretty amazing move for Prettel. He went from bib 78 in Kitzbühel, and 2 weeks later had his first podium, third. So pretty impressive. But this is something that came from those guys testing different prototypes. They wanted something that still maintained the power, but was a little softer, just in this top section, just pretty much the next 6 inches up on the ski, to allow them to initiate in and then get off. The skis were great, but they were holding a little bit, hooking up at the bottom of the turn. So allowing them to roll cleanly into the next turn. On the adult GS side of things, at 174, we switched to a more adult construction ski. You get an UVO piston plate. This does not mean that it's a full construction. This is our GS tweeners. So 174, 178, 183, and the 188 27 meter. At the 188 30 meter ski became torsionally softer as well. This is a great ski for that U14. Try and make that transition into the 174. You get a beefy adult ski, but still meant for that junior athlete. Then for us, we have all new bindings at the 12 and up. So for us, the race 8, which is a junior lug only compatible binding, that's important for you guys to know that have those smaller athletes. The race 8 was developed to be a junior lug compatible, giving the best transfer from that child lug boot to the ski. It's not compatible with any adult lug binding. So for us, that's a 21.5 and up won't be compatible with that binding. But then you move into the race 10 and the race 10 TCX, which gives that adult heel on the race 10 TCX to give that, more adult, more aggressive junior athlete the performance that they desire. And then from the 12 and the 16, we brought down what was in our X-Comp 18 last year. So the best of both worlds, combining the performance of the comp bindings with the reliability and safety of the Excel. So hopefully you guys can see that. Move to a 3-hole pattern mounting point, and we've gotten rid of the toe puck that was there. So this allows the binding to move and flex with the ski, and allowing it a little less aggressive initiation, but also better feedback for the athlete. With still staying with the horizontal spring and the vertical piston. So you get the elasticity on the toe. That's the return, how far out the boot can go, and return to center without ejecting from the ski. So still front wings separating individually, and a sliding steel AFD on the 12. Sixteens, stay with that steel sliding AFD, and you have a reinforced metal tub, just to keep, a little burlier setup. Obviously 16 in. Then on the 18, So this was a binding that we released last year in the US. It came straight from the World Cup. Again, this was the first X comp. It has a Teflon AFD and a little beefier wings. So this is that binding for that, top level U16 maybe, but really a FIS athlete binding. Looking for that high performance and a little better connection there between the toe and the AFD.
So Matt, while you're there, the question came in, how does the 3-hole pattern help on the new toe?
So the 3-hole pattern comes from our old comp bindings, and that allows the binding, the front of the binding, to move off the ski and puts the power transfer mounting point directly under your toe of your boot. So there with the lift, you get the vibrations coming down the ski, have a little bit more time to move, also allowing the ski to flex smoother. With the old toe punch, the old toe puck that was on there, it was a little bit too aggressive. This new binding is more forgiving, especially in the initiation of the turn, allowing the skier to feather and put wherever they want. The old binding was great if you went direct and skied late, but this is better for your average skier. As well as the really crucial point is having the 3 mounts directly underneath the boot. That allows the transfer from what you're doing with the ball of your foot and the toes, rolling that ski up, to directly move into the binding in the ski. And with that, then, our new junior plates are only compatible with that 3-hole pattern. So that is the same pattern that was on our race 8, race 10, and race 10 TCX. So you have those bindings, they will transfer over. The old Excel 12s and Excel 16s will not fit on the new plate.
Matt, the question just came in, do other athletes ski marker or just Volkl? Other World Cup skiers besides Volkl athletes?
Yes, so Marker is also partnered with Nordica. So all Nordica athletes ski Marker products, and some Kesley athletes as well. And some Stokely athletes. Stokely they aren't directly affiliated, so it's their choice, but some Stokely athletes ski Marker as well. Then for the adult skis, we stay with the piston plate. This has been the standard for plate technology for over 15 years. Obviously, it's gone through its updates, but the basics of this plate have been the standard. You have your off the floor, you have your rear locking bearings, and then rear floating. This is something that you can play around with and change. And for those athletes that need a little softer, we can change these out so that they're all 4 of these floating rear bearings. Then obviously you have your full pattern up front that matches the new X comp, as well as the old XLs. That whole pattern has been the same. It was compatible with both, and it will stay. So we've had a lot of questions on that. Are the new piston plates different hole patterns like the juniors? No, the piston plate stays the same. Then moving into boots. For us, this is an exciting year. Obviously, we have our 60. We stay there for our junior athlete, for that little U10, U8 that's getting into it. Then for us, a really exciting boot is the new DRS 75. So this is a boot that was designed with performance in mind and young athletes wanting something to get to the next level here. So this is a boot, it's a DRS 75 low cuff. So as you guys can see, there's a shorter cuff with the idea there that the athlete that has, their feet have grown first, but they haven't gone up any. Your U12, U14 that has flippers, but still hasn't gone up in height. This is something that gets them in the right size boot without it going all the way up to their knee. Also with the cuff, we went from a round, on most boots, a total circle cuff for those young kids, to more of an oval to truly fit a child's calf. And on the bottom, it's a fully cannibal boot, 97 last. And as you can see, we do have the adjustable for the canting of the cuff as well. So this is a boot that really bridges the gap between junior racing and a full plug boot. This gives that U12, U14, even that bigger U10 if you have it, that true performance race boot. This is something that we're really excited about, and we've seen a lot of success. We released it last year, but moving forward, it's been a great boot for those younger kids. We also have the DRS 90 low cuff, which is the same principles as the 75, just in the 90, and that stays the same moving forward for 2021. Then the boot I think that we're all the most excited about is the new DRS World Cup. So this is a boot that's been in the works for a couple of years now. It was on the World Cup last year with all of our athletes, and it was the most successful year that we've had to date, pretty much, on the World Cup as far as a Dalbello, Marker, Volkl. We had 5 podiums, a couple World Cup wins, Alice Robinson, Mina Holtman, Stefano Gross, Adrian Predel, doing it, multiple events across both genders, all in this new boot that was developed directly working with those athletes. And it is the same boot that they're skiing in. Obviously progressive in the flex and those things, but direct down from the World Cup. So getting into the tech side of it, we went to a true 92 millimeter last. So narrowed it up quite a bit from our old boot, took out a lot of plastic on the sides as well. There's some excess plastic in there. The only thing that's the same on this boot as our old boot is the side rivets and the toe jam. Everything else is brand new, buckles, all of it. So we went to a true 92. We were able to change the rear where the cuff aligns there. So we got, this is now square versus the old rounded, just allowing a better transfer between the upper and lower cuffs, locking it up so that it won't move backwards when you get stuck in the back seat there. As well as on the front of the cuff, we're able to make this, the lower come up a little bit more, and then through here, we made the cut come back farther and more of a bend. So as you can see here, when you lock this lower buckle down, it pulls down tight around the upper ankle, lower leg. As well as all new buckles designed to be streamlined. They're 2 millimeters closer to the boot, and we've also moved them up slightly. This is to help with both breakage and slalom, as well as cutting down on the profile of the boot, so allowing better angulation and better aerodynamics and speed. So all new buckles there. And then a new liner as well. So we went in with a better foam in the toe, as well as out throughout the whole liner. So molds your foot a little bit better, and hopefully will hold that, won't pack out as much over the season. Now, obviously, an initial pack out will happen to allow that perfect fit in a plug World Cup boot, but we won't have as much deterioration. We also changed up the top of the liner, so moved away from that carbon plastic that was there that was really stiff to an injected plastic on there to be a little bit softer, a little bit more accommodating in the fit, and allowing for those of the athletes that have a larger calf to splay the liner out more. So, as well as a full tongue, not sure you guys can see that, but filled that. There was a hole there in our old tongue to try to alleviate some pressure. We put that back in, still with the cutout there, so that you can cut that out if that is a hot spot on your foot. As well as with our new boot boards, we have holes in the rear that step down for you for those athletes that need to change their ramp angles. It steps down 3 mils and then 5 mils. So you know exactly when you're on the sander in the shop, they can get that perfect fit without going back and forth. They know exactly where they stand on that. So this boot comes in the XS, SS, S, and M, and H. So that gives us a range from a 90 flex all the way up to a 170 flex. This is something that we're really, really excited about. So this boot that I have here is the XS. That's a true 90 flex. This is great for that, a more aggressive U14 moving into U16 athlete that wants to move into their plug boot. This allows them to have a true plug boot in a 90 flex. And then on the SS and up, we have the power strap with the cam on there, not a Velcro. So this is also a boot that was designed then with the cuffs really in mind. We built a 23.5 and 22.5 together and tested that on the World Cup. That's where the majority of World Cup ladies are in for sizes, and then a 25 and 26. So the cuffs go 20, this is a big change for us. We have 22 and 23 share a cuff, 24 stands alone, 25, 26 share a cuff, 27, 28. And this year we do have a 28.5 boot. So for that athlete that really has a big foot, still needs a plug boot, 28.5.
On the questions coming in from ski racing, somebody asked, when did Alice Robinson first start skiing the DRS World Cup?
So Alice Robinson was in this boot for all of last year on the World Cup. So she's been in a Dalbello boot for a number of years now, but they were able to get into this boot on the World Cup last year. So this is the direct boot moving all the way down to you guys here in the U.S. This isn't, something magical that they have on the World Cup and isn't accessible for us. This is something that is the exact same boot. Obviously, Alice, Seb Solvag, those guys have, probably stiffer boots than what your average athlete is going to be in here, but it's the same boot, same plastics, all of that. So yeah, when Alice really broke onto the scene, this is the boot that those guys were in. So we're really excited about this moving forward. It's a big step for us. And then, do we have any other questions on boots, Jeff?
On boots, no, but a question came in earlier on skis, Super G skis and the differences of Super G skis for U16s versus U14s and what we have.
So for Super G skis, we offer a true Super G ski starting at a 183, 193, and 203. And then it moves into our fifth skis at 208, and up from there, I think a 210 for men. So for a U14, depending on size, again, this is going to be, depending on the size and the weight of the athlete, they can ski that 183. Which is the difference there between the GS 183 right here and the Super G 183 is obviously it doesn't have an UVO, but it's a truly designed ski for Super G. So the side cut is different on it and it's softer. So it allows that kid to really ski that ski versus the 183 is a GS ski, is beefier than that Super G ski. This is something that we do feel strongly about at those ages. If you fit, size-wise into those skis to skiing on a true Super G ski versus GS ski. It's designed for that course set as well as that athlete. You're not just putting them on, the World Cup ski that might be the right length, but a 193 fist men's ski isn't going to come around for a small U16 girl or a U14. That's just gonna be a 2x4 for them. Hope that answers that one, and then there aren't any more questions right now. I'll continue to answer questions as they come along. But we'll get a little bit into how to do a at-home fit, or if you're, at a shop and need it. But, this is something that you guys can do at home to check your equipment that you have right now and know kind of where you stand if you want to order online, or you want to just call up your shop and order it direct without having to go in there. Obviously, right now, all of our shops are open and with race gear and service. And that is your best option, is to go into a shop, get fitted, do it all. But I understand the point of this is to get that info to you guys at home. So as far as boots go, we'll start there. That's the most important thing. That is, something that we see happen more often than it should, is boots that don't fit, especially at the junior, at the U10, U12, U14 level, boots that are either too big or too stiff. I get you want to hand me down or whatever works, but really that is a critical point. If the boot is too stiff, that athlete is never going to be able to flex through it. If it's too big, their foot's going to be sloshing around in there and not be able to transfer to the ski. We want a comfortable fit at the younger level, but something that still gives the performance to be able to transfer what that athlete is trying to do to the ski. So you want to have your toes just barely up, touching the front of the boot, just barely touching the front of the boot, and then have them flex forward a little bit, and then look down into the back of the boot, and you should see about, a finger to a finger, 1.5 fingers behind the boot, behind the heel, between the boot. That's a good starting point for those young athletes. It allows them to still have the comfort, but the performance they're needed. Obviously, if you can get your hands on a sizing device, that's super easy. You can hop on there, get a starting point, go from there. With checking back behind, it's nice to have a flashlight, really look in there. You can see, sometimes you can fit your hand in there, depending on the size of the kid, the size of the boot. Get a flashlight out, look down in there, see. And then for sizing junior skis, on slalom skis, I'm just going to pretend I'm your U12. You want to hit between the chin and the nose. So, somewhere in there is probably pretty good. And guys, these are rough guidelines. Obviously, it's going to depend on the height of the kid, the weight, all of that, the ability of the athlete. And then for GS, you want something that's curving over the top of their heads, roughly 20 to 30 centimeters longer than their slalom skis that you just fit. But the rough way, curving over the top of the head. So something like that. So this is a way you guys can go in your garage, see what you have, see where you are. You can also get a tape measure out. These are things that it's all done on centimeters. So if you get a metric tape, you can measure it out, in between chin and the nose for slalom, cresting over the top of the head for GS for that U12, U14, U10 as well. Also, you want to keep in mind with GS skis, depending on where you see yourself going with the sport and progressing, that, if you're thinking you're going to ski FIS at an upper level, you're going to need to get eventually to a 188 or a 193. So this is something that we talk to parents about quite often, making sure that their kids are, meeting that progression, that they're not going to at some point have to go from a 161 all the way up to a 188, or, somewhere in between, trying to make those jumps gradually as you progress up. Obviously, you're going to have those times where, you grow a lot and all of a sudden you can make that jump, but trying to edge towards what is your end goal with that. For those high school athletes, I don't have the skis here, but we also make GS with our motion and what we call GS Pro. So it's a little bit more of the beer league ski with a piston plate or an R motion plate on there. The piston plate obviously will take any of our X comps. The R motion takes the R motion 12 or 16. So that's a great ski for your masters, beer league, high school athletes, somebody, not skiing FIS or, top level USA regulations, but, still needs a GS ski to get out there. We also make a master slalom ski as well with the R motion plate.
Somebody asked on boots, what is the best age for an athlete to move into that DRS World Cup?
So this is something that, as I've said with all of it, it's subjective to the athlete and the size and, ability of that athlete. But we're seeing, aggressive top level second year U14, first year U16. This is something that, with that being as soft as it is, this cup is nice and soft for that athlete, and can always cut the lower as well if you need to make it a little bit softer. But it does allow that athlete that needs to get into a 92 last boot, true performance World Cup boot, wants that power transfer, wants that performance at that younger age. So we're seeing it with, top U14s, bigger U14s. For the most part, those are second years, and then definitely by U16 moving into that boot. If you're at that, progression in your skiing and that ability. Obviously, the 90 low cup is a great option as well if you're looking for something, a little bit more, less aggressive, less performance-based. Do we have any more questions, Jeff?
Somebody said, go Matt. Go Matt.
So guys, our all of our order forms and stuff are available on Ski Racing, as well as a list of retailers. So go into those shops, talk to your retailer, and get sized up, and we can go from there. Also, this will be recorded, posted on the Ski Racing website, and live there for anybody that needs to reference this stuff in the next couple of weeks. You can also reach out. My email is matt.mckenna@mdv-usa.com. Happy to answer any questions you guys have about anything. But again, you can access all of this through the Ski Racing website under the Virtual Fit Night tab, and then clicking on Volkl or Mark Dalbello Völkl tab, and all of our info is listed there as well. List of retailers, race pricing, size, sheets, all of that stuff. So we also have brand new race swag this year. So new bags, there's hats, backpack, sweatshirts, t-shirts, new race department t-shirt. So for you guys that want to be fully kitted on and off the hill, we have a full line of race department stuff as well.
Now, one more question here. If an athlete is only allowed one ski, I'm assuming this person is talking about like some states in the programs you're only allowed to ski on one pair of skis for both events. What do they usually get?
So for that, we usually recommend a slalom ski. So for us at the 118, that's a true combi ski, the GSL. So for that kid just, getting into racing, young, U10, U8, and then we recommend staying on the slalom ski and going with something that's more about, top of the bridge of the nose, just above the eyes, a little bit longer ski there, kind of splitting that gap between slalom, between your chin and your nose, GS at the top of the head, right in the middle for that, but staying on a slalom ski. That allows them, the side cut, the turn rate, all of that benefit of a slalom ski so that they can ski that in the slalom course, but then a little bit extra length to ski it in a GS course. If you go with just a GS ski for that one event, you can, obviously we make skis that are similar length, 140, 143 slalom, but you're sacrificing radius there. That ski is going to be really hard if you get in the slalom course to make it come around. Also not as forgiving, trying to progress technique-wise, drills, all that stuff. It's going to be much easier to learn on a slalom ski.
All right, let me get one more question here.
Yeah, so we'll stay there, see if we get any more live questions. Otherwise, as I said, I mean, you guys can feel free to post the stuff on Facebook. I'll continue to check that and try and answer as many of your questions that pop up there. So feel free to reach out to either info@mdv-usa.com or my direct email, matt.mckenna@mdv-usa.com.
Somebody just asked, is there going to be service for athletes that are going to camps in Colorado starting in late October and November?
Yep. So we actually have guys stationed throughout the country, regional service technicians that cover all of our major regions. They're also versed in race. So throughout the year, if you need that basic stuff right there, they're happy to jump in. I will be in Colorado for pretty much the whole month of November, based in Summit County. So I'll be there for any race service that we need, boot work, any of that stuff that you guys need, I'll be there. Want to talk about just equipment, any of that stuff, feel free to reach out. Obviously, Colorado is the mecca for US skiing in November, so we'll be there in full force supporting it. I think if that's it, we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thank you to Ski Racing for making this happen in these unique and challenging times, but we'll get through it and hopefully it's skiing soon. Thank you guys.